Tennessee. I had Tennessee and San Diego. San Diego, just election day was yesterday. They're not going to get a new stadium, so what are they going to do? Are they going to move to L.A.? Are they going to share a stadium with the Rams? Are they going to move to Vegas? That's the next
Lots
topic.
of questions.
That's the topic of what's going to come up next with them. We already kind of had an idea that San Diego County was not going to approve that new stadium. We had a good feeling. And
I got a question for you, David, because I know you've been around San Diego.
Yes.
Because you were in the military, you're in the Navy. Is it because it just seems like in San Diego, it's I know the weather's great all the time. Are they just not interested in football, or is there just too much to do around there that football is just like, whatever?
Well, what I think it is that they like. I'm gonna show my age. This used to be Jack Murphy Stadium before, and it's Qualcomm and
right.
What is it called?
I thought it was still Qualcomm.
Okay, I don't even know the name of the stadium, and that thing's hosted Super Bowls.
Yeah.
It's just a super old stadium.
Okay.
It's just an old stadium. If you've ever been there, it's like
it's still Qualcomm.
It's Qualcomm.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Oakland Coliseum.
Yeah.
It's not great to go because I've been to both of them.
Right.
And
so you don't think they rejected this because, like you said, it's an old stadium. Why would they not want a new stadium?
I don't think it's a retirement community.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get into the politics of that area, but usually there's a lot of retirees right there.
Yeah.
And they don't want to increase the taxes of building up a new stadium.
Right.
And I think they'd just rather go ahead and lose the team than, or maybe they'll think, hey, we'll pull something out next year. Maybe the team will want to buy their own stadium. What team in the NFL, what team in Major League Baseball, what team in the NHL, what team in the NBA is going to buy their own stadium?
None.
You got to have help from the city.
Exactly.
Which I think it's the whole thing of San Diego being a small market compared nationally, that they don't really care as much about football. Like if it was Dallas or New York or even the Patriots up in Boston, they would probably have done this for them. But being at San Diego, kind of small market, I don't think they really care as much.
Go ahead.
And I don't know if they planned out where they're going to put this new stadium.
Or it's kind of like knee jerk because they were trying to move to. They were trying one of 3 teams try to move to L.A.
Right, and that could have been the when they went to the polls, like, hey, they're talking about going to L.A. anyway, so
reject it.
The heck with them.
You know what I think it is? I just think in San Diego there's just a bunch of surfer guys and girls that have other stuff to do. Football is probably not on their list of things to do on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon. They're probably going surfing or going to the beach. I just don't think football in San Diego. I mean, it sounds like it'd be
half of them probably don't even know they have a team.
Right. It just seems like it'd be perfect for each other. San Diego.
Okay, next week I'm gonna wear my San Diego Chargers hat.
Do it.
Okay.
I have a San Diego Chargers.
I thought
hat.
you were gonna say jersey.
Yeah.
No.
Jersey.
LT jersey or something. Yeah.
No, I don't go jerseys very often, but no, when I lived in San Diego, I used to call it bong hits and burritos.
Yeah,
that's everything.
Right,
kind of like Hawaii. So that was that's kind of like your standard San Diego.
You're
keeping it classy San Diego.
There, yeah.
So, but Monday night's game, Buffalo and Seattle, that was a great game.
It was.
So this is the question I want to pose to both of you guys: the Richard Sherman block kick
should have been a penalty.
It should have been.
Okay.
It was no doubt. As soon as I saw it, I
was it a dirty play?
I thought it was a dirty play. You don't aim for a guy's leg like that, and it wasn't even like he was trying to block the kick because he didn't even have his hands out. He came in straight shoulder, straight for the guy's leg. So it's not even like he was even trying to block the kick. He had intent to hurt.
I think he was doing? I think he was doing everything he could to block the kick. So if he didn't, he went for the. I mean, if you see a blown up picture, he actually has his hand on the ball.
Right.
But I think what he was doing is, all right, well, if I don't get my hand on the ball, at least knock him down. And
it's a family show, Kurt.
I don't know. I don't know if we can cuss or not.
Knock his butt down.
Yeah, knocked his butt down, and then he can't do anything if he's on his butt, And I don't think it was dirty, but it definitely was a penalty. A penalty.
So it should have been a roughing the kicker.
Yes, 15 yards. And it really screwed the Bills, too, because...
Yeah, they even said on the broadcast that it should have been penalized. And even the whole, like, officiating, crew, captain, whatever, that's on the broadcast came out and said that it should have been, 15-yard penalty and a possible ejection. Because I remember watching it, because I like DVR'd it that night, but I remember watching it and him saying that.
I don't know if ejection, that might have been a little too far, but I do agree it should have been penalized, for definitely, without a doubt.
Okay, so do you think Richard Sherman's a dirty player?
Yes. I think he is.
I don't know about dirty player. I mean, just because somebody has one dirty incident like that.
Oh, he's had a couple incidents.
But. Yeah, but
I think he just does anything to make a play, and
that's him being raised in Compton. That's the way you're.
Right.
From what I've seen, the way you're in, it's instilled in you. You got to be tough. You got to take care of your. What you need to take care of. So I think that comes out of him at the wrong times. Doesn't necessarily make him dirty. That's just the way he was brought up.
Okay, I got a comparison. Richard Sherman reminds me of Chris Paul. Chris Paul is a dirty player. If you watch the Clippers, he's a dirty player. He hits guys in the nuts. He trips guys. But he's not a bad dude. I don't think Richard Sherman's a bad guy. I just think he's
the way he plays.
I think he's competitive and he wants to win. And sometimes that brings out
all costs.
I think that brings out the worst in him.
He'll win at all costs.
Right. I mean, I like Chris Paul, but Chris Paul's a dirty player. I think I don't like Richard Sherman, but I don't think he's a bad guy, but I think he can be a dirty player.
So what do you think about Rex Ryan coming out talking about, after the game, he said that he had a conversation with Sherman saying that you're better than that, you're a better player than that, you shouldn't be doing something like that.
Well, did you see the whole sequence of what?
But do you believe that's what Rex Ryan said to him?
I don't think so.
Is that what Richard Sherman said he said?
That's what Rex Ryan said to
He said to Richard Sherman.
Right.
It's what he said that he said to Richard Sherman.
Yeah, we haven't had a word with Richard Sherman said he said something. I don't know.
I saw their interaction on the sideline.
Well, the whole thing was whenever whenever Sherman got the pick in the end zone, Rob, who's Rex's younger brother, the defensive coordinator, was saying something to him.
Oh, the worthless defensive coordinator?
Yes.
Okay.
Was saying something to him, and then whenever later on in the game, Sherman kind of eyeballed Rex Ryan, and I didn't think he was saying something to him, but then Rex was saying something back to him, and that was the whole little sequence. I don't know if that was necessarily what he said to him, but who knows? We really have to take him by his word unless somebody around him is willing to attest to what he said. But.
Okay, so here in just a couple of days on Thursday. Okay, I'm not going to watch this Thursday night football game. I just saw the
Baltimore and Cleveland, right?
Yeah, I'm not going to watch that game.
You know what? I watch these games for strictly fantasy purposes only because I usually have a guy that's on Thursday night.
So do you have a guy on Cleveland and Baltimore?
I have Terrell Pryor.
I have Terrence West for Baltimore, so
I usually
Okay.
But I'm not interested. I'm only interested.
David's not a fantasy player, so he's just like, okay, moving on.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that. Fantasy, that's probably 50% of the reason why I even watch NFL football is fantasy.
Okay. Well, I told you that I did fantasy football. Was it last year?
I remember you told me you did it 1 year and you didn't like it, right?
I didn't like it.
Yeah.
It was just a headache.
It can be a lot of work.
And my friend that lives outside of St. Louis in Alton, Illinois, that rough area neighborhood. It's not. I'm not saying it's rough.
Yeah.
Roughly in that area, somewhere around there. He talked me into joining this league, and you had to pay money, and I didn't have to pay the money. And I was like, I'm not going to pay money I'm not good at real sports, so why should I'm not going to be good at fake sports? And that's what I think about it. So I didn't really care so much about it. And I had Peyton. I remember I had Peyton Manning as my quarterback, and that was just a disaster. And everybody on my team got hurt.
Well, the last 2 years I've had Peyton Manning, other than this year, and he's actually done.
Last year he was horrible.
Well, he got hurt.
Yes, last year he was horrible. Yes,
he got hurt.
But
and then my running backs were gone. My receivers didn't know. It was. I remember I put up 12 points, and I had everybody playing.
Wow,
12
total. 12 total.
That's bad. I've never heard of that before.
12, and I had starters.
That's
in every position.
That's like a record for worst fantasy week ever.
You must have had some people put up 0. You had to.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I think Peyton
How did
Manning
you have somebody put up 0?
I think I had Peyton Manning. I think he got knocked out at the beginning of the game before he completed a pass.
Oh wow.
Then I had a running back tear his knee up, and it was.
You got to do. For me, I take it pretty seriously, and I do like 3 months of research
I'll do the same way, and I'll do like all the mock drafts before I draft and all that. I'm the same way.
Well, I think I remember one time walking in on you and you were doing
a mock draft.
Yeah. And I was like, "What's that?"
You did, yeah.
You're like, "Oh," I was like, "Oh, you're getting one of your 25 teams on ESPN," right. Which kind of makes you really. You got to have 25 teams. That seems how many teams do you have?
I don't have 25 teams this year. I know this is actually a slower year for me in fantasy. Normally, I have about 5 teams.
Okay.
I only have 2 this year.
Bradley?
See, this is the first year I've actually done 2. Normally, I do 1, but I drafted a team fairly early, which I remember we've talked about in a previous episode.
Mm-hmm.
And then my best friend was like, "Hey, join a team with me and these guys from my job." And I was like, "All right." And it was like $10 a person, so I was like, "Well, maybe I can win some money."
Okay, I tell you what. Next year, I'll play fantasy football. You're not going to get a dime out of me.
We can just do it for bragging rights, you know.
We'll do it for bragging rights, and we'll get how many people?
You could do. I mean,
10?
I'm in an 8.
The minimum is 8. Yeah.
I'm in an 8-league team this year.
Okay, so we'll get a couple other dudes.
Because if you do 8, you can get
that wants to be cheap.
Most of your guys can be pretty good, but the more teams you have, the less stars you'll have on your team.
We'll come up with the Texas Stranger Fantasy Football Trophy. It'll be really small.
Which actually, my fantasy team name is TSP for life. So,
yeah. Texas Strangers,
Texas Strangers podcast.
Matter of fact, I might take one from the Texas Rangers, one of their baseball ones, and that will be the joke.
I don't know if you want to say that on air, there, Dave.
Dude, do Michael Irvin jersey.
Oh yeah.
Oh, we'll let that one go there.
Moving on.
So this coming week we have Tennessee Green Bay. Now, I think both of you guys are high on Marcus Mariota.
I am
not really. I'm not.
I have him
that high.
I have him starting in one of my fantasy leagues.
See, I am so over him.
Really?
Yeah, I just don't buy it.
You like him more than Jameis Winston?
Neither. I'm on the fence with both. Okay, let's put it away. If I had to, let's say I had to start a franchise and I had my choice of those 2 quarterbacks and no other quarterbacks out there, I would go with Jameis Winston over Marcus Mariota.
I think I'd go Mariota. I think Jameis Winston, he has not looked very good this year. He was projected. He was projected to have a Cam Newton-like season that Cam did last year, and he hasn't done that.
All right, let's go one more topic, and I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna take it home because we are in Dallas, Texas. Dallas travels to Pittsburgh to play the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Are you looking for like a prediction from us?
Not really.
What are like some?
Let's sink in.
Let it sink in.
Okay.
Wait for it. Sometimes you have to wait for it.
Okay. You know, I get a little antsy and jump the gun at times.
Oh, I know. I hear you. I hear
yourself.
I hear you banging your hands over there against the table.
No, not really.
Tony Romo practiced today.
Very true. I actually do have some audio on Jason Garrett.
Does Tony Romo play? Oh, you're going to play
Let's
some
hear
audio?
what Jason says.
Well, that sounds horrible.
We anticipate him doing very similar to what he did last week. He'll work through individual early, and probably over the course of practice, he'll take some scout team work, and we'll just see where he is.
So still scout team at this time, not working into the...
Correct.
No longer a medical decision for Tony whether he can be active in playing this weekend?
Yeah, we just have to see where he is. Tony's practiced 4 days over the last couple of weeks. He's been involved in part of practices on each of those days, and we'll do something similar with him today. He'll start an individual, see how he does. If we can work him some scout team reps like he did last week, that'd be a good day for him.
All right, that's courtesy of ESPN. Web.com.
ESPN.com, yes, sir.
Okay. All right. I didn't know if it was ESPN Radio or ESPN.com. Okay.
Just ESPN. ESPN.com. You're confusing me now.
Sorry, how you say
You're confusing me now, Dave. All right.
That sounds horrible.
Yes. ESPN.com.
Well, I don't know if you got it from right down the hallway. Or if you got it from.
I got it from the legit ESPN.com.
Did you go?
website.
Were you at the press conference?
I wish I was. You know.
You got those credentials?
No.
Speaking of credentials. No.
All right. So speaking of this, does Tony Romo see the field at all
this week?
This season?
As long as me and Kirk were actually talking about this pre-show.
Okay.
As long as Dak is winning and playing well, there's no way you can put him back on the field. No, because you cannot kill. Momentum is a key thing in sports, and they have momentum right now with Dak. So there's no way you can kill that. I know everybody's talking